Good evening, everybody. Keith Engle here for TGI Sports Talks, College Sports Huddle. How's everybody doing this evening? It's great to have you with me, as it is every Wednesday, and all the other shows that we have. We welcome everybody on the McGrath Podcast Network. Make sure you're checking out our shows here. Oh, I got one show not going live here. Hold on. We got to try to get myself live here. Bear with me 1 second. We're missing one of our places here. Facebook, of course. Bear with me. Thank you, everybody watching on McGrath Podcast Network, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, all the groups that allow me to share. You see our favorites scrolling at the bottom of the screen. John Gonzalez from the Sports Authorities, Greg Rawlings from America's Pastime, Flo and Kian from the Bottom Line Sports Podcast, where Let's Talk Sports is another podcast network. We're having a little trouble with I don't know why we're having trouble with one of our Facebook feeds, but we'll keep trying to get it there. It looks like my professional. Let's move it one more time. I apologize, guys. It's probably the most important, only the most important destination we have, which is my Facebook page for TGI Sports Talk. Thank you, Facebook. But again, thank you to Let's Talk Sports, Ken Krause at Golf Bud Sports of All Sorts. And of course, quick shout out to Ralph Williams over there at RW Media. Check out Ralph's stuff out of Ocean City, Maryland, specifically the Sports Corner that he does every Tuesday from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern with Smokin' Jim Frazier. Let me see if we're on Facebook right now before I go any further, just for the hell of it. Maybe I'm doing this for no reason, because sometimes they're not right. But it would appear that we are not live. We'll keep trying to get live for you guys over there. Looks like we started and it stopped. But we'll get into some college football talk today. We'll talk about some of the news of the day. Brandon Sorsby. You can't make this stuff up. Leave of absence. One of the most sought after portal acquisitions this year. Taking a leave of absence as he has admitted to having a gambling problem. What kind of gambling problem? He's made thousands of bets on online betting sites such as DraftKings and such. I shouldn't name DraftKings. I don't know if it was them or one of their competitors. But, you know, this is the world we live in now, in these leagues. And listen, I'm not a prude. I gamble myself. But sports leagues shouldn't be involved with gambling sites, and that's what's happened here. We're maybe one step closer to some new rulings in the NCAA world of the NCAA, all sports. 5 seasons you can play, and no more redshirting. So I think you'd have 5 seasons to play for, no redshirting. So we'll see where that happens. Charlie Baker would like to get that put into place this year. And what else? We want to say a quick shout out, a quick rest in peace, if you will, Monty Coleman. Our condolences and heartfelt prayers go out to his family and friends. He passed away, I believe, at 68. 3-time Super Bowl champion with the Washington Redskins. Played at Arkansas, Central Arkansas. Was a longtime coach at Arkansas Pine Bluff. He was just a great competitor on those. As I remember him, undersized linebacker in those great Redskins teams that won Super Bowls in 82, 87, and 91. But and had some moderate success at Arkansas Pine Bluff. He went back home, basically. It's where he grew up. Coached 10 years, I think, there. So our thoughts and prayers to his family and friends. What else? NCAA. Let me see who's with us right now. Looks like we're live now on my Facebook page. So anybody who is trying to get us. Hello, Reggie. Good to have you out. You know, was I live? But you're on my page, though, I think, Reggie. Can you tell me? You might have been there right away. I was live on my page, but I was also stream it to my TGI Sports Talk page, which I didn't see it live. I think I do now. Let's find out. Because Facebook is, I don't know, I'm live. All right. Anyway. On my page, but I was also it looks like I've got 2 or 3 feeds going there. So apparently we were live. Thank you, StreamYard, Facebook, whoever it is that screwed me up this time. Anyway, and other NCAA news before, and we're going to get it. I want to recap the draft a little bit. We're going to look ahead at next year's draft. Maybe we'll look at the portal classes, which have changed a little bit now with Brandon Sorsby's revelations. I think you can be sure that he will not be playing at Texas Tech this year. If you didn't know, he was one of the top quarterback portal targets, and he went from Cincinnati to Texas Tech, probably for a decent payday, and just not a good situation. In college basketball, the NCAA tournament officially will go to 76 teams next year. Why? Because I need the 11th and 12th place teams, 10, 11, 12th place teams in the Big Ten and the SEC. The only way I'm okay with this, and the way this will work, by the way, is there'll be 76 teams that are in the tournament, 12 play-in games now, basically. It was the first 4 last year. They were basically play-in games to get to the field of 64. Now you'll have 12. And all of those will be official NCAA victories. So you see a lot of teams getting their first NCAA victory, maybe, that really isn't in the tournament. It's in this play-in tournament. I would be able to get more on board with this if you said to me, we need to take all these teams, and you can take 24, you can take 30, you can take whatever number you want. I don't care, to get to 64, but make that separate from the tournament. I got this play-in tournament over here that we're going to play on 1, 2, 3 days, whatever you want to take. And then once you win, you're in the tournament. I'm okay with that. And if a team like Auburn last year gets in at 1 game over 500, well, God bless them. At least they played their way in. Just ridiculous, though. So we can talk more about that. We'll be talking about it as we go forward, obviously, the next 10 months. Iowa State's Olsberger gets a big extension, a 10-year extension. His salary is bumped to $6 million a year. Great job he's done at Iowa State, by the way. So that's kind of the news to talk about. Hello, Paul Spada. How are you? Good to have you with us. Hello, Michael Gott, across the pond tonight. How are you? Thoughts on the NCAA? Yeah, you just got him. You just got him, Michael, but I'll stay here. You know what it does? It just continues to weaken the product in my mind, right? I mean, you're watering down the product every time you expand. I mean, we're trying to avoid arguments. Now, instead of teams saying, no, you're not the 68th best team, I am. You can't label me 69, I'm 68. Who cares if you're arguing over whether you're the 68th or 69th best program in the country, whether you got a problem. Now we're going to be arguing over whether you're 66 or 67. Or I'm sorry, 76 or 77. So I think it stinks, Michael, quite frankly. And I said the only way I could possibly get my head around this is don't call these teams, these 24 teams over here that are going to play in the play-in portion of the NCAA tournament. It's part of the tournament. Remove it as part of the tournament and just make it a play-in tournament. Then you can add as many games as you want, as many teams as you want. But the tournament is these 64. So I'll take it. You got to take me down to, right now they'll be at what with automatic bids and automatic qualifiers and at-large teams. I'm trying to do the math in my head. 38. Is that right? No, that's wrong. 40. No, that's wrong too. Yeah, 40. No, that's not right. I end up with 12 teams. So 62. No, 52. Hello, back up. This is my Perth Education playing games with me. Where's Rick Sherlock? 52 automatic bids and at-larges are automatically in. I'm taking 24 more teams, and 12 of them are going to get into the main part of the tournament. But officially, with the way they've set this up, if you're one of those top 76, you're in the NCAA tournament. Don't do it that way. Take your 52, take your 24, play them off, and it's something other than the NCAA tournament, and then take the 12 winners and make them part of the field. I can live with that. I go forward much further with my math or my description of the tournament. I do get in trouble if you guys don't know the Rick's reference a few years ago when I came up with my brilliant that I said several times was not my playoff system I wanted in college football, but one that I was a proponent of. I was threatened with lawsuits. I was getting emails and letters from Basement Bob. Guy lived in his basement. He wrote a book. He probably wrote a book about this too. Look, I don't even know that we need 64 teams, quite frankly. Yes, it's great. We get to see some Cinderellas. The days of the real Cinderellas are gone, right? Because this year we're talking about, who are we talking about as the Cinderellas this year? They were teams for power conferences, right? We're not talking about Butlers and Georgia Masons, and we're not talking about those teams anymore. They'll win a game. They'll win some games, but they're not going to be true Cinderellas just because of the way that college football or college basketball, college football, college sports is now set up. And these 12 extra spots, or is it 12? Am I doing my math right there? I guess 8 extra spots. It's going to be for power conference teams. It's not going to be so Akron could get in, who had a great season in the MAC behind Miami of Ohio. It's not so they can get in after losing their championship game. Well, maybe they got in. Now that I think about it, I forgot Miami lost in their tournament. Maybe that's not the best example. It's going to be so the 9th, 10th, and 11th place teams in the power conferences can get in. But to make it some kind of play-in situation, this is just nonsensical. Hello, Chris. How are you, my friend? Our Toronto correspondent. Happy heavenly birthday to Florida College alum Bernie Parrish. The college standout would have been 90 today. He had a very good NFL career. I don't remember Bernie Parrish. I remember Lamar Parrish. I don't think he would have been that old. Let me check out Bernie. Chris was happy. Made the Eclipse portion of the show last week. Oh, I got Bernie Parent when I did that. Spell check. Or spell correct. There we go. Bernard Parrish. Well, this guy died in 2019. Oh, he would have been 90. I'm sorry. You're not saying he passed away now. Played at Florida. Played for the Oilers. Played with the Browns. Good catch there, Chris. Anyway, Chris was happy. If you noticed, we have clips now of every show, and they're AI generated by StreamYard once I'm done. I pretty much put up pretty much everything they do, unless there's some repetitive stuff, so I don't. So if you are in the clips or out of them, you can't thank me or blame me because AI, like everything else, is in charge. We're heading for some big problems, probably, right? I'm okay with AI handling, pulling out the clips from my podcasts. I don't know that I'm AI. I'm okay with AI, deciding when we should push the nuclear button. Call me crazy. I don't know. Listen, the NFL draft. This past year, Some interesting numbers, too. The SEC had the most players drafted for the 20th consecutive year, and they set a record with 87 picks. Of course, there's more teams now in the SEC, so that number is a little bit skewed as far as record-wise, 87. But the Big Ten was second with 68. The ACC and the Big 12 both had 38, if I'm reading my writing correctly. And 60% of the entire NFL draft. What is that? 200 and what? I'm going to say 32 teams times. What am I doing? Times 7. 200. That can't be right. There's more guys than that get picked. 220. Well, whatever. I think it's 250 some. 60% of those players are from the Big Ten and the SEC. So the talent gap keeps getting wider. But when you take the power teams from the Pac-12 and put them in the Big Ten, take some of the better teams from the Big 12 and take them to the SEC, well, obviously the balance of good players is moving across the country and across conferences. So, but congratulations to those schools. There were some surprises. I got 2 picks in my mock drafts. 2 picks I got right. And mock drafts are what they are, right? I do one for fun. I don't do 100 of them. But in doing mock drafts, I had the Cardinals taking Jeremiah Love. And ironically, I also had Price, his running back mate at Notre Dame, going to the Seahawks at 32, which was probably a bit of a surprise, but I think a great job by the Seahawks. As far as the players that I think in this first round, that are can't miss, I want to give you some. So this is probably the last time we'll talk about these players, right? Because they're out of college now. But we're going to talk about this year's draft, and I want to talk a little bit about next year's draft, because the interesting part is when you get a year out, we're going to talk about players that will be nowheres to be found. That will be nowheres to be found when it comes to the first round next year. Francisco Mendoza was not even being mentioned as a first-round draft pick this time last year by anyone, much less the number 1 pick in the draft. Just saying. I'm going to go through the first round. I'm going to look at the players, every player. Fernando Mendoza, great college quarterback, was really good at Cal. But again, didn't make his bones and really get into the spotlight till he got to Indiana and things took off. And that Penn State game was really his spotlight for the Heisman, for the number 1 pick, for everything else. I think he's got some work to do. He's got good size. I think he needs to put on some muscle. I think his football IQ is really good, but I think he's a work in progress. He will not play day 1. I don't think. And that doesn't mean I don't think they should play day 1. I know that sometimes these conversations get misconstrued to say I don't think quarterbacks should play right away in the NFL when they get drafted. Some guys are ready to play. Caleb Williams, for the most part, ready to play. Plus, it also matters the situation that you're in. Jaden Daniels played his way into being a starter. But not everybody's ready physically and mentally. You got to put both things together, or you lose a guy forever and never know how good he could be. Again, I use Zach Wilson as a great example of this. When he came out of BYU, people were really high on him, and he went high to the Jets. And maybe he was always going to be terrible. You can tell me that, but I can tell you, you don't know that. You don't know that if he didn't get drafted into a better situation, that he would have been a better quarterback. You don't know, and I don't either, by the way. I don't know that he wouldn't be just as bad. But my point is, we'll never know, because he got thrown to the Wolves too soon. It was not, and when he got thrown to the Wolves, he wasn't put into a position to succeed. He was put into a position to fail. And that's what you can't do with these young guys like Francisco Mendoza, because you get beat down and never do any good. Jim Plunkett is a great example. Terry Bradshaw, these two guys, now they did come back and have Hall of Fame. Well, Jim Plunkett's not in the Hall of Fame, maybe should be. But these guys came back to be multiple Super Bowl winners. Terry Bradshaw lost his job after losing a Super Bowl. They played too soon. But they fought back. Not everybody can do that. I mean, again, there's probably, I can't even tell you because we don't know who the guys are that got thrown to the wolves too soon. I can think of guys like Steve Spurrier. I can think of guys, and again, they may never have been any good. Pat Sullivan. Great college quarterbacks thrown to the wolves too soon at the NFL level. Don't do that if you're the Raiders. David Bailey. I'm not as high in David Bailey as some Jet fans seem to be. And I'm going to come back to your comments in just a second. I did see a couple of them up there. I think he's got some work to do. Technique and such, but he's a great raw talent. I would have taken Arvell Reese there if I'm the Jets, but that's, again, taste more than anything. Jeremiah Love, I think, is going to be a generational player, but don't expect a lot out of him this year. He's on a really bad team. Great pick. Best player in the draft in my mind. Carnell Tate's a reach at 4. He's not even the best receiver in the draft. Jordan Tyson is injury issues. Tate, I think Ohio State puts out some great wide receivers, but he wasn't even the best wide receiver on his team this year. But he's a good player. I don't know that translates to the next level. We're going to find out. But that team needed a lot of stuff, and they don't know yet that Cam Ward is their quarterback. I don't think you can start looking for pieces until you can protect him and then find out what you have. Anyway, Reese by the Giants, great pick. He's going to be a great player, great versatility. Delane with the LSU, got no problem there. Great cornerback, probably the best cornerback in the draft. I think the top 2 cornerbacks. I think you're going to find out that Delane and even Chris Johnson. I think McCoy's the second best cornerback in this draft, despite the worries about his knees. When this is all said and done, I think the Raiders got a steal in the 4th round with McCoy. Sonny Styles, I think, is going to be a great player for the Redskins. Jordan Tyson, I think, is going to be an impact player from day one. Got to keep him on the field. Hopefully, getting with NFL trainers, changing a little bit, of your routine, maybe keeps you healthier. Maybe it doesn't. But talent-wise, he's the best wide receiver in this draft. Fano for Utah was a really good pick, I thought, for the Browns. I thought the Browns had a really good draft. The Giants getting beat up a little bit for Mawagwa. I'm going to say his name wrong. Out of Miami. Best offensive lineman in the draft. Maybe a little bit of an argument with Fano, but I think it's a good pick. You got to protect your quarterback. And the Giants found a wide receiver later on in Malachi Fields from Notre Dame. So great job there. And you guys feel free to comment about anything you want to talk about. No shortage of American college and university football prospects coming to the CFL after the draft yesterday. A lot of those, you may not know yet, though, Chris, because I think a lot of guys who signed as undrafted free agents will also make their way north of the border. But we also got, 2 other leagues, don't we, now here, I think, in the States, which I don't pay any attention to. But I think you'll see some more. Diego Pavia, for instance, is a great candidate for the CFL. I don't think he is for the NFL. Great college player. Not going to be great in the NFL. Probably will be great above the north of the border. I think double-digit scoring in college basketball is very tough because of the shorter games. And just the way the game, well, it's not as tough as it used to be because of the 3-point line, and the game's getting played at a faster pace than it was before. But you do have the shot clock that will limit you, and there's teams playing, pretty good defense. And UNLV won championships by scoring lots of points, but those teams were great defensive teams as well. People forget that. Great defensive teams. Jerry Tarkanian is thought of as some offensive guru. He recruited great offensive players and great athletes who were great defenders, and that defense turned into a lot of uncontested points. So they scored 90, 100 points regularly, those great UNLV teams. Unfortunately, UNLV's fallen on some pretty hard times, Chris. I know we're beating that drum for UNLV, but they got a better football team than they got a basketball team right now is the honest truth of the matter. Back to the draft a little bit. Caleb Downs falls to 11. Great job by the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys had a great draft because I think Malachi Lawrence out of UCF is going to surprise a lot of people. I hear a lot of Dallas Cowboy fans, pissing and moaning and crying in their beer about this pick. You got two mainstays on that defense for years to come, barring injury. Caleb Downs could be the best defensive player in this draft, possibly when we're all said and done. Certainly the best defensive back available in this draft, in my mind. And he falls all the way to 11 at the Cowboys. Only got to trade up one spot to get him. So great job by the Cowboys in that first round. Caden Proctor from Alabama to Miami. This is a classic high ceiling, low basement, man. He's going to be very good or just a bust. Ty Simpson. My problems with Ty Simpson getting drafted in the first round are not that he got drafted in the first round. It's how high and probably by who. The Rams do nothing to help. The Rams are this close to being in the Super Bowl. So, yes, they picked up McDuffie, which certainly helps their secondary. But they don't give the offense any help at all. And I think they probably could have used another wide receiver. I know Nakua and Adams and blah, blah, blah. They got Kirk. Okay. He's old and been hurt a lot. They could have used a guy like Malik Lemon that would have helped them this year. And maybe they could have traded back into the first round. And maybe they knew something I didn't know about the Cardinals. Maybe were the Cardinals going to trade back up, or Pittsburgh going to trade up to 13? I don't think so. Or 12. They got to get ahead of them. And Ty Simpson might be a good NFL player at some point. But he's drafted by a team that doesn't need him, or he's not going to help them this year unless something drastic happens. And if he's playing this year, they aren't going anywhere anyway. Loaney from Penn State, a good pick by the Ravens on that offensive line. Ruben Bain falls either because of his arms, or I don't think it can be because of the driving, the accident issue that we read about the last couple weeks before the draft, because these teams all knew about this. We found out about it. I didn't know that he was driving a car that somebody was killed in. I don't think that affected him falling from top 5 potentially to 15. And so players are worried about I've heard people talking about his short arms. Listen, I watched this kid play every game he played at Miami. He's a dynamic player. I don't care about short arms. Gets the shortest arms ever by any top 15 draft. I heard some crazy numbers. If you can play and you got a motor like this guy's got, you're going to be an impact player, and he's going to be an impact player at number 15, without a doubt. Youth movement and again, we're talking about the draft, so talking a little bit of NFL is going to be relevant here. Listen, I think the Cowboys win the NFC East this year. They made all picks on the defensive side of football except their last one. I think their last one was a wide receiver. This offense is good enough to win the East. It's good enough to compete for a Super Bowl. Their quarterback is good enough to compete for a Super Bowl. He's got to show he can win in the playoffs should they get there. But the team's good enough now. They've got a bit of a youth movement going on defensive side of the football, Chris. Because as I said, they've got 6 or 7 guys coming in theoretically from this draft. Plus, Kenny Fields or Kenny, Kenny Clark, who came from Green Bay last year for Micah Parsons. I think this defense is going to be much, much better. And if they can run the football, I think this team is going to be in pretty good shape. But I think the Bucs get a steal on Reuben Bain. Kenyon Sadiq, maybe a reach for the Jets, but here's the thing. I heard people saying, well, they should have taken him later. You weren't getting him later because people were in love with this kid's physical talents. I mean, he was inconsistent, dropped a lot of balls in college. But he had a great combine. And there are still people who fall in love with 40-yard dashes and vertical leaps and, things that you can measure. But you can't measure in intangibles like football IQ. And that could be a problem here. He might be a great player. But if you're a Jet fan, you can't tell me we should have taken him at 16, we should have taken him later, because you weren't going to get him later. He was going to go in this 15, 16, 17 parts of the draft. Because everybody below them, I've heard talk about this guy, not the Lions, I guess. I heard the Vikings talking about Sadiq. Certainly heard the Panthers talking about Sadiq. I know the Eagles were interested in Sadiq. So were the Steelers. So he was getting drafted in the next few picks. Whether he'll be any good or not, we'll find out. Blake Miller for the Lions, offensive tackle. At this point, I think that was a good pick for the Lions. They needed an edge rusher, but I would have gone offensive line for these next few picks. I do like Rick's team's pick, Minnesota's pick of Caleb Banks. It's getting trashed a little bit, but he's got some versatility as well along that defensive line. And I don't think that's a horrible pick. Monroe Freeling, I like for the Panthers on that offensive line. Again, protect your quarterback. You can't do anything if your quarterback can't stand up. All of these teams in the NFL have got to figure this out. And you need depth as well. Patriots figure that out. A lot of injuries last year on that offensive line, and it hurt them in the playoffs. When Campbell wasn't full strength, they had nowhere to go, so they had to play him. This year, they're going to be much deeper. I'm sorry. I already talked about I missed 2 picks. I missed a bunch of picks. Mekhi Lemon, great job by Philadelphia trading up in front of Pittsburgh while they got Mekhi Lemon on the phone. That's crazy. But, this obviously points to the fact that A.J. Brown is on his way out of town. And a really good pick. I like Mekhi Lemon. I think the Rams would have done well to pick him at number 13 and try to figure out their quarterback situation later. Because, again, there's no sure thing that Ty Simpson is going to be the successor to Matthew Stafford, no matter where you pick him. Ian Hanker, Lane Hanker, however you say this guy's name, from Arizona State. Really good offensive tackle. Good job by Pittsburgh pivoting from the wide receiver. Mesidor, I love Mesidor. Injury issues. He's a bit older, which I thought would scare maybe Miami off because they're not ready to win right now. I was really hoping Mesidor might find a way to fall to the Patriots. I didn't think he could fall to 31, but I thought he might fall far enough where they might think about trying to trade up because I like that kid that much. But he's on his way to Miami. I think Malachi Lawrence will be a better player, certainly than a lot of Cowboy fans think right now. You're going to find out pretty quick, I think, that he's going to be an impact player from day one. Casey Concepcion, not quite sold on. A lot of guys like this pick for the Browns, who went offensive line, wide receiver. I'm not even sure he was the best wide receiver left. But one of the steals of this draft, I think, is Thieneman going to Oregon, the safety. From Oregon, going to the Bears. I was kind of surprised he fell to 25. Again, I thought the Vikings might take Thieneman. I know that the Eagles had talked about him. I think he plays the game a lot like Cooper. Yeah, you know the guy I'm talking about. Got drafted at the end of the first round, top of the second round by the Eagles last year. Cooper DeJean. A really good player. Keelan Rutledge. Don't know if I'm crazy about that pick for the Texans. They needed help along that offensive line. Thought there was better options, including the guy the Patriots took in Lomeu from Utah. Chris Johnson, San Diego State, goes to Dolphins as well. Again, McCoy falls from first round, potential top 10, to the fourth round because of the questions about his knees. Rounding out this first round, Peter Woods, defensive tackle from Clemson, goes to the Chiefs. Omar Cooper, the Jets did a great job trading back into the first round to get Omar Cooper. Omar Cooper is going, I think he's better than Casey Concepcion. I think he'll have a better career, and I think he'll be an impact player for the Jets right away. And we're going to get into in a second potentials for next year's draft. The Jets are really playing for quarterback next year. And the thing is, we can't count on that. All of the quarterbacks that we talked to going at the top of this draft weren't at the top of this draft or anywhere near it. Carson Beck, Drew Allar, Nussmeier, Klubnik, who I think the Jets did a pretty good job getting in the fourth round, by the way. Might be a player. Never know. Going to have a hard time finding a field there probably, but the Jets might screw themselves by winning too many games. Kendrick Falk to the Titans, I thought was a nice edge pick. I like the kid from Missouri who went in the second round, though. I thought the Patriots might go there. And by the way, Jadarian Price was the last first-round pick to Seattle. And I think that was, again, another impact pick, by the way. Who took let me find the guy I like who went in the second round a lot. There's some guys in the second round went on the edge that I think it got some really good upside. I think TJ Parker, I think the Bills did a really good job there. Zion Young, I think, is a steal for the Ravens with the 13th pick in the second round. I think it was the 13th pick in the second round. I can't do math. But good job. So, listen, I mean, these are all crapshoots. It's all they're prospects. And all of us are prognosticating, right? Rick and I had a conversation about, I don't know, Caleb Banks and maybe a couple other guys. And it doesn't matter what I say or what he says or what guys who theoretically know more than we know say. These guys will either make it or they won't. They're going to do it based on their own talents and the position the teams had drafted and put them in. It's Chris over on the YouTube side. Now, Chris has get double barrel on us from Facebook and YouTube tonight. I love it. You know, it's funny. I think this draft is going to turn out better than what people thought it was going in. Problem is, the quarterbacks were so iffy. Even Francisco Mendoza, it wasn't sexy, right? But there's a lot of really good players. The Patriots draft, for instance, wasn't sexy, again, to use that word, and it's probably a bad word to use with the Patriots these days, but as Danny pointed out to me last weekend. But they filled a lot of holes with some guys who could be impact players right away. And depth is so important, especially against that offensive and defensive lines. And teams don't pay money there anymore. So if you're not going to pay for veterans, you better get some really good youngsters, to Chris's point about, youth movements. If you're not going to pay money to have depth on the offensive line and defensive line, especially that offensive line, then you better have good young kids backing up players. Because that is where the majority of NFL teams are really hurting themselves now, including mine. These subpar quarterbacks in the draft sound like stepping stones for future Gunnar Rivers. Let's let Gunnar get to college first, right? And I'm trying to remember did he choose NC State? Am I right? Did he choose his father's school? I can't remember now. Chris, I feel like he chose NC State. I'm not positive. But he's a guy we'll be talking about in just a few years, right? Doesn't seem that long ago. We were talking, Arch Manning was in 8th grade and we were talking about him. But that brings us to next year. And who are the guys we're going to be talking about next year? Because you still got teams that need quarterbacks, right? And the quarterbacks we were talking about last year, remember what I said? Lenore Sellers back in college. Drew Allar, 3rd-round pick, although I kind of like it for the Steelers. Carr, who might be Carson Beck, who might be in the best position to start this year, went the 3rd round of the Cardinals. Nussmeier was picked like 240 by the Chiefs. Who else am I missing? Klubnik, 4th round to the Jets. These are all the guys we're talking about being 1st-round draft picks last year and battling out for that number 1 pick. For Francisco Mendoza was nowhere in the conversation. Nowhere. So the guys that are there now, and maybe we'll be talking about next year. Did you know smoking can cause lung and heart disease? Good grief. Where did my... So as soon as I want to get into something, you take me over. There we go. All right. So the guys at the top of this draft, obviously, Dante Moore, who we thought would be in this draft this year, he pulled himself out. I wonder if he has any second thoughts about that, quite frankly, because I never put my banner up, I see. I really feel like if I'm Dante Moore, I kind of wish I came out. But if he plays well, he'll be at the top of the draft next year along with Arch Manning. Arch got better and better. We don't know yet what he's going to be, if he's going to be. We don't know about any of these guys. Again, throw these numbers out at you guys all the time. We had 2 picks in the 1st round this year. I don't have my numbers with me. But anyway, there's been roughly, 148 quarterbacks taken in the 1st round since 1966 with a common draft. 16 of them won Super Bowls. 14 of them won Super Bowls. 14. Now, some of them multiple Super Bowls. And about half of all the Super Bowls by 1st-round quarterbacks. 5 of them didn't do it with the team we were drafted by. And half the Super Bowls, almost 28, have been won by quarterbacks who were not taken in the 1st round. So a lot of reaches, man. A lot of guys failed that people thought were going to be really good. The Jamarcus Russells of the world, the Jeff Georges of the world, the Todd Blackledges of the world. I'm going to the worst of the worst here. These guys are all number 1 picks, high number 1 picks. So you got Moore, you got Manning at the top of this draft. You'll have guys with a choice whether they want to come out, similar to this year. Saying if he has a year like he had the year last year at Ohio State, he'll probably be coming out. CJ Carr got better and better as the season went along for Notre Dame. Those 4 guys, and I think Lenore Sellers hopefully can rebuild his status a little bit. Those are the 4 guys. Forget about Trinidad Chambliss. I keep trying to tell Jack. I can tell you right now, of the quarterbacks expected to come out or potentially to come out next year, he's the 11th ranked guy. He's got a lot of downside. Great athlete. Won't slide. He's inconsistent across on intermediate passes. Holds the ball too long, and sometimes, and other times, he just takes off way too soon. But we're going to see other guys that are going to move up in this draft. So who's it going to be? We got guys that we're down on from this year, like Lenore Sellers, Drew Messmacher a little bit, Sam Levitt moving to LSU. You know he's going to have a big year, and you know he's going to have big numbers. And I guarantee he's probably going to be chatted about in the top 2 or 3 picks among the quarterbacks. Whether they're the top picks in the draft remains to be seen. John Mateer, does he get himself better? After that, look at Trinidad Chambliss will get drafted, but Trinidad Chambliss is a 2nd or 3rd round draft pick today. And I would expect him to have a bad year. Not a bad year. I would expect him to have a worse year this year because all that offensive knowledge is gone to LSU. Think what you want about Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin is a brilliant offensive mind. And Charlie Weiss Jr., not far behind him. And they're going to win national championship in LSU. Not this year. But they'll win. I really believe they'll win. I don't like the way he handled what he did at Ole Miss. Doesn't take away from the fact that he's a great recruiter, great in the transfer portal, and a really good coach on the offensive side of football. So I would expect Sam Levitt to move up from this 8th quarterback ranking, potential 27 draftees, to the top 2 or 3 spots, quite frankly. A guy who might have moved up has got himself probably never going to play in college again, and who knows what he'll do to his NFL career. He may go undrafted. Brandon Sorsby, I'm talking about, who has admitted to a gambling problem and has taken a leave of absence now after getting, I'm guessing, a pretty good payday to move from Cincinnati to Texas Tech. My guess is you won't see him play. Does John Mateer take that next step up? Don't know. We don't know. That's the point. We don't know about all of this is a crapshoot. Okay. As we sit here today, who are going to be the best running backs? I mean, who's the Jeremiah Love? I don't know that there's a Jeremiah Love coming out next year. Will there be a first-round draft pick next year? Nate Frazier, look at from Georgia. Fletcher from Miami, take a look at him. And Hardy, who was lights out for much of the year for Missouri, are the top 3 guys. And you got the kid from Missouri, Ole Miss, Lacey. But again, he could take a step back. And there'll be sleepers that we'll start talking about in September and October because they're going to come out of nowhere. But again, NFL teams don't value running backs the way they used to. Wide receivers, probably no brainer. And the guy who might go number one this entire draft next year, Jeremiah Smith from Ohio State, is just phenomenal. Great player. Cam Coleman out of Texas. Ryan Williams out of Alabama. TJ Moore, Clemson. And his running mate, Wesco. I would expect there to be no shortage of wide receivers. We had 5 go in the first round this year. I can see 5 or 6 going in next year's draft. Again, today as we talk on April 29th, 2026, we'll see what we're saying, around April 21st, 2027, or even before that. Tight ends, teams have fallen in love with tight ends. Kid from Texas Tech is probably going to be the first guy picked, but I don't think he's a first-round draft pick. Terrence Carter. You got Trey'Dez Green out of LSU, who again will probably have a monster year this year. But I'm not really crazy about the rest of this tight end draft next year. Jaden Fielder, the grandson of Cecil, what's the cough for? 6'1", 220, 10. Where does he play? Florida State? What positions he play? Let me look at his size again. Let me see. Can I search on my database here? Yeah, hold on. Why would he cough? Because of his relationship or non-relationship with his son? I'm not finding him. Let's see, can I search by Florida State? Okay, Florida State. How is it you don't even give me anybody from Florida State when I just put in a Florida State search? Whatever. I don't know a lot about him. We'll take a look at him as we go through this. Is he still in school? You say out of the Florida State college program. Is he still there, Chris? Oh, gasping that he's already a grandfather. I'm a grandfather. Cecil's probably my age, isn't he? I'm an old grandfather. Christ, guys are grandfathers at 40 years old today. Now you got me into Major League Baseball. How old are you, Cecil? Born in 1963, 63 years old. Oh, wait, he was a grandfather. So he's 21 years old. So Cecil was a grandfather at 42 years old. There you go. Oh, God. Looks like we lost our feed on Facebook again. I apologize, guys. Anybody's there? I saw we lost a bunch of people. I'll try to get it back one more time. Thank you again, Facebook. Where'd Reggie go? We're not going to go too much longer today. Anyway, there's some of the prospects that we talked about on the offensive side of the football. We'll look at the defensive side of the football a little bit more as we go forward. A little bit of other news in college sports. What do you got for me there? Who's that? Oh, that's me. I'm back. Sorry, guys. This is really going to screw up the freaking numbers. Just annoying. Of course, they don't care. They're just, they're there for whatever. Let's take a look at college baseball. I want to look at the college baseball rankings. If we can. Where are we here? Boop, 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 boop. Here's our top 25 in college baseball. Number 1, UCLA. Where's Danny? Come on over to the YouTube side of Waterside. I agree. And believe me, if it was up to me, we wouldn't have, it's nice how you're, that Flying Elvis is right over your name there, Chris. It was up to me, Facebook would be out of my life entirely, but unfortunately, they're bread and butter because the shows, clips, and everything else, we're looking at, well over 100,000 views this last 28 days, and a tremendous job by you guys, all of you who will catch this. Great job. And YouTube, while we've grown our subscribers 25% in the last few months, and the clips have helped over there a lot, by the way. It's just it's minuscule compared to what we're doing on. Although the total views, really, because of the clips, the views for the shows. I mean, the shows on Facebook will get 1,000 views, 800 to 1,500, right? The shows over there will get between 7 and 25, but the clips will get 1,000 views, 2,000 views. So anyway, we're getting the views. We're starting to move the subscribers because of it. We'll continue to try to enhance that experience, and maybe one day be able to wave goodbye to Facebook. Anyway, college baseball. UCLA Bruins are ranked number 1. Sitting at 39-4. We're going to be getting close pretty soon to the just another month or so to regional play and the College World Series. So time to start paying attention to some of these teams. Their next game will be at UC Santa Barbara next Tuesday. North Carolina, number 2. These two teams, these top 6, 7 teams have not changed in a couple of weeks. But Carolina sits at 36-8. They're number 2. Georgia Tech, 36-7 is number 3. Texas is 4th, 32-9. Every time I talk about Texas, I got to bring up Audie Garrido. Great coach. Georgia Bulldogs. But I feel like we don't always talk about Georgia in college baseball. They're ranked number 5, 34-11. Oregon State is ranked 6. Texas A&M is 7. Auburn is 11. Coastal Carolina, who's had some really good years the last couple of years. It hasn't translated into a national championship, but they're getting close. They're ranked 9th at 30-13. Mississippi State is 10. They're up from 15. Kansas is 11, up from 16. Southern Miss is 12, up from 18. Oregon, 13, up from 19. Florida State has fallen to 14 from number 8. Oklahoma, 15. They were 14 last week. Nebraska, another team we don't always talk about a lot in the college baseball world, has moved up to 16 from 20. Ole Miss, still at 17. West Virginia drops to 18 from number 12 with a couple losses. Arizona State, good to see Arizona State back into some rankings. They're ranked number 20. They were ranked number 19. They've moved up from 25. Boston College Eagles are at 20. USC, another traditional power, not as big as the last couple of decades like Arizona State. 60s and 70s, these teams were just at the top of the baseball world in college. But they're ranked 21. Arkansas 22. Virginia 23. Alabama 13, and Florida number 21. We also have the softball the softball tournament will be starting as well pretty soon. Oklahoma sits at number 1. I think they're looking to defend their championship, if I'm not mistaken. Nebraska 2, Alabama 3, Texas Tech, Texas, UCLA, Arkansas, Florida, Tennessee, and Florida State round out the top 10 there. Some good ball being played by the girls. I know that's going to get me letters. Jared Weaver was once the top of the crop of NCAA baseball. The Weavers had quite a few pitchers at the time. Jared had a brother too, Jeff Weaver, I believe, pitched with the Tigers. Jared pitched with the Angels. Jeff pitched with the Tigers, and for a time with the Yankees. He wasn't very good by the time he got to the Yankees. But Jared Weaver, was a decent Major League Baseball player at one point. What else? I'm out of college topics for the night, I think. I know our problems on Facebook with our Facebook connection tonight probably didn't help our viewership or our comments. So I thank you, Chris, for carrying more than your share of the load. You'll end up in the clips tonight for sure. I just want to see, is there anything else? So again, we just talked about, we kind of rehashed some of the draft and looked at next year's draft. The big stories that we talked about, just to recap, the Brandon Sorsby admission of having a gambling problem, how that's going to affect Texas Tech this year and the world of college football, and how they take a look at this. NCAA is one step closer to 5 seasons, no red shirt rule. And the NCAA tournament basketball is going to 76, whether we like it or not. Don't need it. That's really the big stories in college today. And we'll be on for a few more weeks. And we'll see how the views go and whatnot. We usually take a little sabbatical here in the summer months. Pick it back up probably the 1st of August. So we might go through May, and then early June we'll probably put a bow on this season of the college sports huddle, if you will, and then take a couple of months off, rest up a little bit on Wednesdays, just do the Wednesday roundtable. But we'll certainly be back. We'll let you guys know how we decide to handle that. On the amateur side of things, Jaden Fielder was drafted as an amateur American free agent. By who? You're confusing me here. Free agent what? I mean, obviously there's tons of American free agents in the sports that we talk most about. Kevin Moss was the last American I think of who was scouted out of a men's league. We're talking about baseball, Chris. I'll stick around for a minute, try to get your answer and get on the same page here, because I'm not sure exactly. I'm not sure exactly what we're talking about. I mean, Kevin Moss. Well, let me look up Kevin Moss, and I can tell you how the Yankees got him. I thought they drafted him out of high school, but I could be wrong. Kevin Moss, and every Yankee knows Kevin Moss. He was drafted out of the University of Cal Berkeley. So Cal. So I'm a little confused. I'm just not sure where you're going there, Chris. I don't want to leave you hanging, so if you can, pardon me, undrafted American free agents. I see. Undrafted. He was drafted in the 22nd round. Kevin Moss. I don't know about Jaden. Let me look up Jaden. Are you saying he's in Major League Baseball now? I don't have a Jaden Fielder in a baseball reference. We'll carry this conversation into the baseball, maybe the baseball update Friday. In the coming weeks, we will have Dr. Paul Semendinger on the MLB update. He's written a new book, the All-Time Yankee by Number book, which I have just, I believe I downloaded on my Kindle. I got to double check. Got a couple. I just downloaded, just to give you another book too, besides Dr. Paul's. Check out that Dr. Paul's book before we have him on, please. But I just downloaded the Boss of Bosses. Is that the right name of the book? Hang on one second. I don't know if that's the name of the book now. I want to give a plug here. I don't think that's the name of it. I think I got it wrong. That's not it. Let me get into my Kindle real quick. Hold on. I can tell you. I promise I can tell you the name of this book. It's a really good baseball book. Actually, I'm rereading The Bronx Zoo right now. I do have the Greatest Yankees by uniform number, by the way. And I guess I can't plug the other book because I did not download it yet. I thought I did. There it is. The Bosses of the Bronx, by the way. Sorry, I did download it. Written by Mike Vaccaro, the great columnist, longtime columnist for New York Post. Been an interview subject on my shows. Mike has been the Boss of Bosses, so check that out. And we'll try to get Mike on the MLB update as well. That's the Boss of Bosses book right there. You can imagine what that is about. I'm sorry, the Bosses of the Bronx. Sorry, Mike. If you're watching, I apologize, and I'll do a better job. And Dr. Paul Semendinger, the Greatest New York Yankees by uniform number. Check that out. They're both on Kindle. They're both on Amazon. If you like hardcovers, check them out. We'll have hopefully both of them on in the coming weeks. Jane's a 21-year-old in the Brewers system. He plays outfield and second base. Well, apparently he hasn't made enough of an impression on the baseball reference to include him yet. I don't know why, but you'll have to take that up with them, Chris. Thanks for that. Thanks for your contributions as always. There's AC. I'll give you a chance, AC. If you got any, we talked about a lot of stuff tonight. A little bit of draft recap, a little bit of last look at next year's top prospects, and so we can bring up the names so that we'll know who we won't even be talking about next April. We talked about the NCAA tournament going to 76 teams. We talked about the Brandon Sorsby story, him taking a leave of absence from Texas Tech for gambling addiction. So I'll give you a second if there's anything you want to add. If not, we're going to say goodnight because we've had a little trouble with Facebook tonight, and we're glad to see you make it in, AC, but we'll probably, unless you got something you want to chat about, I'm happy to stick around and chat. You got nothing? You've been busy? Just wanted to say hi. Hello to you, my friend. Good to have you with us. And as we said in our little private chat, we will find a way to get a golf outing together. We kind of got to just figure out the logistics and where it makes sense to go. I don't know. Maybe sometime when you're coming up here to play poker, we'll play somewhere along the route, on your route to the casino. We'll see how that goes. But I certainly want to do it. But with that, we'll wrap it up. Thank you for your participation as always. Sorry for the Facebook troubles. I wish I could take credit for it or blame for it, but I really can't. You guys have a great weekend, and I'll see you Friday with Jack with the weekend playbook, and I'll see you Friday with the MLB update as well, and of course Sunday with the Shuma Koch. You guys have a great weekend, great rest of your week, and have a good Wednesday night.